We are back with another weekly Forex forecast. Welcome everybody. It was kind of a slow week, but hopefully this week will be a little bit better with more trading setups. As far as the US dollar goes here, we have a nice weekly trend line to the upside. I've been calling this out the whole time that I think we are going to be pulling back up to the weekly supply at 103.06. I do think we are a little overextended right now, and we could actually be seeing a pullback. It's actually more visible on the lower time frames. If you look at the daily chart here, you can see beautiful daily upward trend line as we just recently this past week broke the daily high there, giving us a daily trend line. We are a little overextended here as we are sitting above the 50% mark of that channel tool, and on the 4-hour time frame we are very overextended as well. Right, you can see we clearly got a nice rally here, kind of quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, you guys can't see it, due for a pullback. And if we really start to pull back, which we are right now, I think that's where we are headed, down to this demand at 137, maybe even down to this demand zone at 99.74. These are two pretty decent areas of demand that I think price will react off of. On the 1-hour chart, on Friday here, we did create a 1-hour downward trend line. And as long as that's holding, guys, we could expect price to continue to fall down to those 4-hour demand zones. And we are so far seeing the pullback that we are kind of due for since seeing the aggressive move up in the US dollar. Moving on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. So on the weekly time frame, we have created a weekly downward trend line. And what do you notice here? We clearly have targeted this liquidity, as you can see on the screen. I think we are easily headed down to this weekly demand. It's just the opposite of the US dollar supply. That's where I think we will be headed, and we have a liquidity trap here as well. So I think it's a high probability area that we do push down to that demand and maybe even see a reaction off of that weekly area of demand. So again, we have a weekly downward trend now. We also have a daily downward trend, and when we created this daily downward trend, we also created a daily supply at 115. So if we do see that pullback we are expecting, that's where I think we will be headed, and this will be a decent area to look for swing trading shorts on an H1 time frame using our confirmation method. As far as trading the Euro US dollar goes right now, really not seeing anything on the 4-hour chart. We have this new supply. It was created from this previous trade. This trade from here was called out a couple weeks ago in my weekly Forex forecast. So if that's not a reason to hit that subscribe button, getting these free, beautiful setups like this, go back and confirm for yourself. It's on my YouTube channel that I called that trade out. Hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. We are very overextended here on the 4-hour chart, but what I'm seeing right now really is this 1-hour trend line and trend to the upside. But what do you notice? We are very overextended. If we use a channel tool, look at this here, very overextended. We clearly peaked above the channel. We are coming back towards the mean right now. So if you want to day trade long the potential recovery on the euro here, we have to wait for below this trend line, and then anywhere in this area is going to be good for day trading longs on a 5-minute time frame. All right, moving on to the forecast for gold. We recently broke this low, targeting liquidity. These dotted lines you're seeing, that's a monthly demand. So I think we easily could be pulling back down below 35.30 to this monthly demand, which will be a great dip buying opportunity on gold, especially since the macro trends are up. That's where I think we will be headed on gold, and we have a lot of evidence to suggest we will be doing that as well, especially this daily downward trend line. When we broke this demand and broke that low, this trend line is going to, it signals strength in my opinion. Even if we get a pullback to that daily supply, I think we will most likely see somewhat of a reaction off of that daily area of supply. As far as the 4-hour chart goes here, last week I was talking about this 4-hour area of demand, and I was saying to the members we have to be aggressive with trade management on this trade, and I'm glad I did, because this zone ended up breaking. I aggressively, when price was up here almost to my 1-to-1, I decided to move my stop to break even, and I broke even on this trade. So just trying to be completely transparent with you guys, I did take this trade, happy with the way I managed it. Break even, I'm completely fine with it. Even if we do get the pullback, I wanted to get out of this trade at break even. When we broke this demand, we created a new supply zone at 41.79. It's pretty decent. There's two options here. As long as this trend line's holding, 15-minute time frame shorts are good, or we can wait for that 4-hour supply zone to see a nice short trade to the downside. If we get a pullback all the way up to that supply, it's a pretty good zone as well. But at that point, I would be aggressive with trade management, where on this trade, I actually think we could see a decent trade off of the zone. And why was I aggressive with trade management on this trade? Very simple, because the daily trend was down. So it was a counter trend trade. That's what separates the beginners from the professional traders. I'm not saying, oh, I'm super professional or anything. I'm just saying there's a reason I managed that trade like that, and I didn't get greedy and go for a massive risk to reward trade. So still just kind of waiting for those 2 4-hour supply zones to be hit. In the meantime, we have a nice 1-hour trend line to the upside. You can see with this channel tool, we are a little bit overextended. We are sitting at the top end of that channel after we peaked above it. So if you want to day trade long on a 5-minute chart, wait for below the 50% mark, and anywhere in this area, 5-minute time frame longs are going to be preferred. Moving on to the forecast for the S&P 500. Beautiful weekly trend to the upside, a little overextended. We are expecting to see somewhat of a pullback. Remember, all longs are with the higher time frame trend here. And on the daily chart, we are kind of just going sideways. The big thing we are wondering this week is if we can push to break this low or if we are going to break this high. Since, we have a weekly trend to the upside, longs are actually preferred here, which is why this setup was called out in the daily market breakdown video for the Diamond members. A beautiful trade from that zone. One of our members caught a trade from the daily market breakdown video as well from this area of demand. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session where members submit homework, and it's an interactive 1-hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question. Private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions. And finally, the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately. Absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. So far, beautiful move off of this zone. I'm expecting to see quite a big move. Targeting the high actually does make sense, but you want to be moving your stop up with price as we continue to go up. As long as this demand zone's holding as well, we could justify 15-minute time frame long trades. If you are bearish, again, I don't love the idea of being bearish on this chart due to the fact that, again, we have a weekly trend to the upside. We have a 4-hour demand zone that's in control here. But if you absolutely must short, we have a trend line from here to here. This is a reaction off of our properly drawn trend line, and as long as that's holding, you could justify 5-minute time frame shorts on the day trading time frames. But again, based off of the weekly trend to the upside, based off of the fact that we have a 4-hour demand zone in control, if you are going to short with this trend line on a 5-minute time frame, you have to be aggressive with trade management. All right, moving on to the forecast for the USDJPY. Beautiful weekly trend line here. We have not broken the all-time high, but I do think we will be breaking that this upcoming week. It is definitely possible and more than likely, again, based on the fact that we have a weekly trend and a daily trend to the upside. As far as trading the USDJPY goes right now, kind of tricky. The only zone I'm seeing is all the way down here, and it's mediocre at best at 160.30. I don't like that. I mean, it's not bad. So right now, I'm really not seeing a whole lot of trading setups, really no trend line as a guide for longs. So at this point on the yen, we have to be patient, wait for this demand zone to be hit for longs. And you can even look for day trading confirmation on a 15-minute time frame as well. If we break the high, we will have some new zones formed, and maybe there will be some more setups throughout the week that I'll be pointing out to the members on my chart link. So right now, just waiting for patiently for new zones to be formed or for a pullback down to that zone. Not really seeing too much good trading opportunities right now on the yen as we are pushing to the all-time high. Alrighty, looking at the forecast for the GBPUSD, we recently broke this low, which has given us a very nice daily downward trend line. So that's a great guide to determine, where price is headed. To me, we have to trade with that trend. We don't have to, but the higher probability trades are to the short side. If you notice, we are sitting below the 50% mark. So seeing a pullback up towards the trend line is actually kind of likely right now, and that would be preferred to look for shorts. Not really seeing a whole lot of zones. Again, kind of a slow week last week. Not really seeing too many zones this week, I'll be honest. But right now, we do have a nice 1-hour trend line. As long as that's holding, you could justify 5-minute time frame longs. And let's say we break this trend line. We will have a supply zone here, maybe. We'll have to see. We'll have to look at the charts. We're looking for an explosive candle to the downside. If we have a supply zone there, that's going to be our preferred trading setup with the overall daily downward trend line that I was just showing you guys. But for now, with this trend line, 5-minute time frame longs are good. But again, since we have a daily downward trend and a trend line, if you are going to get in long, you have to be aggressive with trade management on the 5-minute chart. Me personally, as a swing trader, I'm waiting to see if we can get a zone formed by breaking that upward trend line. All right, moving on to the forecast for the USDCAD. We really had a nice aggressive move to the upside on the weekly time frame here. We have created a weekly area of demand. So this will be a great dip buying opportunity to look for like H4 or even H1 confirmation trades if we can get a pullback down to that weekly area of demand there on the USDCAD. On the daily time frame, we had a nice aggressive push up. We created a daily area of demand. We actually have a 4-hour demand right at the zone, and I'll show you guys here in a second. So what I'm going to do is make this zone black, and we will sync it in the layout to show you guys where that daily zone is. So it's going to look a little messy, but it must be done. You can see we have a 4-hour demand zone sitting right there. It's a good zone. It's right at the proximal line of the daily demand. So if you want to trade, we have two options. We either wait for this overall daily demand to be hit to look for confirmation trades long on an H1, or if you want to take an aggressive set and forget approach, that's going to be our 4-hour demand at 1.40. So again, those are our two options. But what do you notice? We are very overextended. So right now we have to practice patience. You guys have to understand that everybody wants to always be in a trade. You can't always be in a trade. We have to practice patience, wait for the zone to be hit. There is our trading setup. And if you guys need help with patience, which is all to do with trading psychology, check out my podcast, the Stoic Trading Psychology Podcast. We have a YouTube channel for it as well. It is on Spotify. Anywhere you get your podcast, it will certainly help with patience and situations like this. And one more thing, since the 4-hour zone is kind of above the daily zone, a wider stop would actually be preferred here to kind of give you more wiggle room with the daily demand as kind of a backstop. All right, moving on to the forecast for the Aussie US dollar. Some significant events have taken place as we have recently broken this weekly trend line as expected. I talked about in last week's forecast how we are very close to breaking that trend line, hanging on by a thread, and that thread has ripped and we are clearly going to the downside. We have a clear area of support here. I think we could see maybe a small reaction off the support maybe the next week. Ultimately, that's where I think we are headed, down to that weekly demand, and that'll be a great opportunity to look for H4 confirmation trades once and if we hit this weekly area of demand. So that's what I'd be viewing it on the 4-hour time frame. Right now, we have a couple of options on the 1-hour time frame. We have a pretty aggressive trend line. This trend line is, again, kind of just like that weekly trend line, hanging on by a thread. But if we continue to push lower here and the trend line gets respected, you could justify 5-minute time frame shorts. I think that makes sense. On the 4-hour chart, it actually shows how overextended we actually really are. If you throw a channel tool on this, we have the channel tool. We are sitting below the 50% mark, kind of reacting off the bottom end of the channel. So if you want a day trade short, the best option is to wait for above this 50% mark. Then looking for 15-minute or 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be good. Anywhere in this area is preferred. And let's say we break out to the upside. Again, we are a little bit overextended, so seeing a breakout like this wouldn't be too surprising to me. We have two 4-hour supply zones, one at 0.70, the other one that's better, a little bit higher at 0.712. So if we break the trend line, we hold off on shorts from here until we hit this zone. Then we continue to look for shorts off of that area of supply, and the better supply is above. I think we could see the bigger move off of that area of supply. So nice trend lines here, a little overextended. We got to be a little bit patient. Wait for pullbacks near the trend line for day trading shorts. If we break the trend line, we have a couple supply zones above that we could be using for swing trading shorts or even looking for day trading shorts in there as we look to target the liquidity and contact the weekly demand. Moving on to the forecast for the USD Swiss. Nice weekly trend line, completely aligned with the DXY weekly chart. We just removed that supply zone with this area of demand on the weekly time frame. So seeing it pull back more near the trend line is possible, even to this demand is possible. We are still bullish on the dollar until we contact the weekly supply that I talked about at the beginning of the video. As far as trading this chart goes now, I prefer the long trades, but if you notice, look at how overextended we are right now. This trend line is basically irrelevant at this point. I'm probably going to end up removing it, but what do you notice? We have there's 4 zones. We are going to ignore this one. We will keep it on our charts to see what removes it if we do get a pull back down. This 4-hour demand zone here is right inside that weekly demand. So it's actually a decent potential set and forget trade if you want to trade a set and forget inside of a higher time frame zone. This zone down below I like as well because it would be targeting the liquidity. It doesn't mean we have to pick one. You can actually trade all 3 if you want. What you could be doing, what I would probably think is the best situation, if you're going to trade at this zone, we can. We just have to be aggressive with trade management, meaning put your stop to break even as soon as you can, kind of look to lock in profit. And you have to accept that if that happens and you lock in profit here, but we get a massive rally, you have to be okay with that. And the reason we're going to be aggressive with trade management is because I think the bigger moves are going to happen off of either one of these zones down below. So aggressive trade management off this zone. Let's say you make 1-to-1 or you take a loss in the zone, whatever. These zones down here, I think we could see the bigger moves off of. And then the zone down below at 0.78 as well is also pretty good. So aggressive trade management off of this zone. Less aggressive with these 2 areas of demand. And again, we are being aggressive with trade management, fully knowing that the bigger move most likely will happen off of either one of these zones down below. But a couple nice setups on the Swiss. Let your risk to reward play out in the long run, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty, on to the forecast for crude oil. This is a very interesting chart. Let me break down the higher time frames. You can see we have a daily downward trend. With a trend line, we are very overextended as we are pushing near the bottom end of that channel. And that's great, because we are quote unquote due for a pullback. And what I like about it is it lines up perfectly with this area of demand. Now the zone actually is like this because that's the explosive move, but it's just too big. So we're just going to draw it like that. Makes the most sense. Somewhere around there is fine. We don't have to be perfect. At 68.49, it's that lower end of the channel is lining up perfectly with this weekly demand. So I do think we will see somewhat of a reaction off this demand. We could definitely get a couple nice day trades and swing trades off of that weekly demand. If you guys been following me for months, I was talking about this weekly demand, and I was actually waiting to get in long at that weekly demand, right below all this liquidity. We actually ended up reacting off of that support area pretty good. So this is so I think we could see a small move off the zone. I think the bigger move will actually happen off of that weekly demand down at 53.85. This is my ultimate target if we continue to rally. That would be my optimal dip buying opportunity. It doesn't mean I won't be looking for long trades in here. I will, especially since the weekly demand and the downward channel are lining up perfectly right now with these charts. As far as trading it goes now, we have a 1-hour trend line to the downside. You can see the trend line is drawn from here to here. And as long as that's holding, you could justify 5-minute time frame shorts. But remember, we're so close to weekly demand, we want to be somewhat aggressive with trade management. We don't want to be getting greedy with those short trades. You can see just how overextended it really is. And if we do get a kind of a deeper pullback, if we contact this supply, that's our area for shorts. Not the best zone at 90.50. So if we do get a pullback up to there, confirmation trades on a 15-minute time frame are actually much preferred. All right, last but not least, we are moving on to the Bitcoin chart. You can see new daily downward trend line as we've broken that low. Pretty nice trend line, a little aggressive, but right now shorts are actually kind of preferred. And even if we break the trend line, we have a very nice single candle basing, supplies and above with a nice aggressive move away at 71.314. So that would be our ultimate dip shorting opportunity. I don't even know what you're supposed to call that. Not dip buying, but dip shorting. You could look for confirmation swing trades in there and even day trades. That's like our ultimate target for short trades. And then as far as trading it goes now, not really seeing any new zones. As far as my chain analysis goes, kind of a tricky chart. I don't go over Bitcoin too much, but we do have a nice 1-hour trend line. It's drawn from here to here. You can see this is a reaction off of our trend line. So as long as that's holding, 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be good. Might want to be a little bit cautious though, because the 4-hour trend line shows just how overextended we are. If you throw a channel tool on it here, you can see we are clearly sitting below that channel right now. So the best situation for shorts on day trading timeframes are anywhere in this area, basically above the 50% mark, as long as this trend line's holding. That is kind of the golden zone for day trading shorts. And look, if we break the trend lines, if we have new demand zones, I'll have those on the charts for the members, and then we can get in long off of those zones. But for now, weekly trend of the downside, daily trend of the downside, shorts are definitely preferred. You just might want to wait for a pullback on the 4-hour time frame to get a better price. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership where you will have access to that, as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.